no one believed she could make it. Homeless, alone, and hungry on the streets of New York, Sophia had nothing except a dream. But what she did next would shock the city and change her life forever. Sophia had always believed that determination could defy circumstance. At 25, she had a modest apartment in Brooklyn, a fledgling startup, and a mind overflowing with ideas. Every night, her apartment was dimly lit by a single desk lamp, her laptop screen glowing like a beacon in the darkness. She stayed awake for hours, sketching designs on scraps of paper, coding until her fingers ached, rewriting business plans with meticulous precision. Her thoughts spun in circles. If I just tweak this prototype, if I just adjust the presentation, maybe this time it will work. Her hope was stubborn, fierce, like a flame refusing to be extinguished by the cold winds of doubt. Yet, the world often has a way of testing even the strongest resolve. Investors dismissed her ideas with curt emails. Clients vanished without warning. And slowly, imperceptibly, her savings dwindled. Bills began piling up, first a stack on her desk, then envelopes spilling onto the floor. She opened each eviction notice with a tight chest, trying to steady herself, whispering, "This is temporary. I will find a way." But when the final notice arrived, Sophia felt the world tilt beneath her feet. She returned home one rainy morning to find the locks changed. Her belongings, clothes, books, sketches, prototypes, were shoved into cardboard boxes and left on the wet sidewalk, exposed to the elements and to the indifferent gaze of passers-by. The city she had once loved now seemed indifferent, cold, and unforgiving. She wandered the streets, clutching a small backpack and wearing a thin, worn jacket. The first night she slept under a subway overpass, curled into herself, listening to trains roar past like relentless waves. The sound was deafening yet strangely comforting, reminding her that the city never slept, that life continued, indifferent to her suffering. The cold seeped into her bones, and hunger gnawed at her stomach, sharp and persistent. Each passerby avoided her gaze, a constant reminder of how invisible she had become. Yet inside, a stubborn spark refused to die. "This can't be the end," she whispered, shivering. "I will not stay here. I will climb. Somehow. Somehow I will rise." Days blurred into weeks in a monotonous cycle of survival. She learned to scavenge food from dumpsters behind restaurants, discovering which ones threw away fresh leftovers. She memorized the warmest subway stations to sleep at night, where the heat from the trains seeped into her bones. She worked for scraps, washing dishes in a cafe for a cup of coffee, helping neighbors with errands for small tips. Every day was a careful calculation: move, eat, survive. Every tiny success, a warm corner, a leftover sandwich, a kind smile, was a lifeline, a reminder that hope still existed somewhere amid the shadows of her life. One morning, while navigating a quiet street, Sophia's eyes caught movement. Street vendors, mostly women, were shaping raw materials into beautiful handmade jewelry and trinkets. Their hands were steady, precise, and patient, crafting beauty out of almost nothing. Sophia paused to watch them, mesmerized. The determination in their movements struck her deeply. They had little yet created much. If they can start small, so can I, she thought. I don't need permission. I just need to act. I can do this. I will do this. That very day, Sophia decided to take action. She began cleaning tables in cafes for free coffee, sketching product ideas on scraps of paper, and spending nights in the library, researching markets, studying entrepreneurship, and learning coding skills she had never mastered. Every page filled with ideas became a fragile flame, a lifeline she nurtured fiercely. In quiet moments, she whispered to herself, "I may be homeless, but I am not defeated. I am alive. I can climb. I will climb. I will not give up." Weeks passed, and small victories began to appear. Sketches became prototypes. Prototypes became online listings. One day, A notification popped up on her barely functioning laptop. First sale, $50. Almost nothing, yet monumental. Proof that action could yield results. Proof that she could rise from the darkness. Tears streamed down her face as she held her hands to her cheeks, whispering through trembling lips. I'm not done yet. Not now, not ever. This is only the beginning. Momentum began to build. Sophia reinvested her earnings, refined her products, and slowly began assembling a small team. Women she met on the streets, in cafes, or in the library. All of them were talented, driven, and without opportunity. They worked wherever they could find space. Library tables, park benches, borrowed community rooms. They coordinated shipments, refined designs, and shared ideas. They became a family, bound by struggle, resilience, and ambition. The nights were the hardest. Emails went unanswered. Contracts fell through. Packages were delayed. Often, Sophia would sit on the fire escape of a borrowed space, hugging her knees to her chest, gazing at the neon glow of the city lights reflecting on puddles below. Memories of park benches and lonely nights resurfaced, gnawing at her heart. If I fail, I learn. If I succeed, I grow. There is no alternative but forward, she whispered into the quiet night. Every hardship became a lesson. Every rejection became fuel. Every moment of despair reminded her of her own strength. Slowly, her resolve hardened, but never into bitterness, only into a quiet, relentless determination to rise. Months passed, and Sophia's persistence began to pay off. The streets that had once felt cold and unwelcoming now felt like a proving ground. Every day she had survived, every moment of struggle, had strengthened her resolve. She began noticing small signs that her efforts were working. More online orders, small tips from grateful customers, and the growing trust of the women she had recruited to her team. Each success, no matter how minor, was a triumph she savored quietly in her heart. Then came the opportunity that would change everything. A meeting with a small, modest investor. Sophia had prepared relentlessly, rehearsing her pitch aloud in empty cafes, speaking into the echoing walls of libraries, pacing the streets while imagining the questions she might face. Every detail mattered, the tone of her voice, the clarity of her explanation, the confidence she projected. She whispered to herself before stepping into the office, I am ready. I have worked for this moment. I belong here. I can do this. The investor listened patiently as Sophia described her vision, her voice calm yet charged with the weight of her journey. She spoke of nights on the streets, the cold she had endured, the hunger that had clawed at her, and the unwavering determination that had refused to let her give up. Her words were honest, raw, and unpolished, not rehearsed, but filled with authenticity. She described her small victories, the women she had gathered to work with her, and her dream of creating something greater than herself, something that could lift others as she had lifted herself. Hours later, an email arrived. Millions in funding. The realization hit her like a physical force. Sophia fell into a chair, trembling, tears rolling down her cheeks. She whispered to herself, almost in disbelief, This is real. I did it. I really did it. For the first time in months, she allowed herself to feel the full weight of hope, of possibility, of a future she had almost stopped believing in. Moving into a small office, Sophia began the painstaking work of transforming her fledgling venture into a real company. She hired women who were talented, ambitious, but had never had a chance. She mentored them tirelessly, sharing her story with quiet humility, often pausing to catch her breath as emotion welled up. I know how it feels to be invisible, she told them during team meetings. I know how it feels to be dismissed, ignored, or unseen. But your work matters. Your talent matters. Your persistence matters. Never forget that. Nights were long and filled with both tension and laughter. They brainstormed designs, coded until their eyes stung, and packaged shipments late into the evening. Laughter erupted spontaneously over small jokes or accidental spills of paint or glitter. Yet even amid this joy, Sophia could not ignore the memory of cold park benches and subway nights. Each night she would pause, reflecting silently, letting the memory sharpen her focus, guiding her through each decision, each risk, each experiment. Slowly, the company grew. Online orders multiplied, and word of mouth spread. Clients who had ignored her previously began reaching out. She launched marketing campaigns, refined products, and carefully nurtured the relationships she had built. Media outlets began noticing her story, fascinated by the young woman who had clawed her way from the streets to running a thriving business. Interviews followed, and each one reminded Sophia of the power of persistence. Yet she never allowed herself to become complacent. She returned to the streets she had once walked. Speaking to young women who had talent but lacked opportunity, she shared her story not as a boast, but as a lesson. You can begin with nothing. You can struggle. You can fail. But never give up. Every small step counts. Every tiny action builds toward something bigger. Every dream matters. Her internal growth matched her external success. She had learned patience, humility, and empathy. Each failure, each rejection, each night of uncertainty had shaped her. Success refined her rather than hardened her. She celebrated every small victory, lifted her team, and ensured that the struggles of her past became a compass guiding her decisions. One evening, as she sat in the office overlooking Manhattan, she whispered to herself, "I see now why every hardship mattered. They prepared me for this. They made me stronger, wiser, more resilient. I can now create something that lasts, not just for me, but for everyone who follows." Sophia's story became more than her company. It became a symbol of hope. Letters from women across the country arrived, thanking her for showing them that persistence, creativity, and courage could overcome even the harshest circumstances. She began launching programs to provide mentorship, scholarships, and startup incubators for women who lacked resources, ensuring that the opportunities she had fought so hard for could reach others. Every meeting, every decision, every prototype was imbued with the weight of her journey. She moved with intention, careful not to forget the struggles that had defined her, and driven to ensure that others would not face the same obstacles alone. Her office, once just a small rented space, became a hub of innovation, resilience, and empowerment. Women worked together, exchanging ideas, supporting one another and lifting each other higher. And in quiet moments, Sophia reflected on the streets, the library nights, and the lonely subways, whispering thanks for the lessons learned, the strength gained, and the courage discovered. Every small victory now carried immense weight. Each client, each order, each product launch was not merely business, it was proof that persistence, creativity, and unwavering faith could overcome even the darkest circumstances. Through it all, Sophia remained grounded. She reminded herself daily, "I am not here just for me. I am here for those who cannot yet see the possibility. I am here for the dreamers who have nothing but courage." Years had passed since Sophia first stepped onto the cold streets of New York, clutching her small backpack, shivering under subway overpasses. The city that had once ignored her now seemed alive with possibility. Her company had grown beyond her wildest dreams. What had started as a single prototype, crafted on library tables and park benches, had transformed into a thriving enterprise, housed in a sleek Manhattan office. Yet despite the material success, Sophia's heart remained tied to the journey that had brought her here. The hunger, the struggle, the nights of despair, and the relentless hope that had refused to be extinguished. Her mornings now began with quiet reflection. She often sat by her office window, gazing at the city below. The streets were alive with movement, lights flickering like stars in the early dawn. Sophia took a deep breath, letting the memory of past struggles wash over her. She could still feel the bite of winter nights, the ache of an empty stomach, the isolation of being invisible to the world. Those memories were not burdens, they were reminders, constant companions that shaped every decision she made. Every hardship prepared me for this moment, she whispered, her voice low and steady. Every tear, every struggle, every sleepless night has led me here. Even as her business flourished, Sophia prioritized giving back. She remembered the countless women she had encountered in the streets, in libraries, in small cafes, talented, ambitious, yet denied opportunities. She established programs for mentorship, scholarships and startup incubators, ensuring that women with dreams but no means could access the guidance, resources, and support she had fought so hard to acquire. These programs were not just charitable efforts, they were extensions of her own story, living proof that adversity could be transformed into empowerment. Her office buzzed with energy. Teams of women collaborated, brainstorming product ideas, refining prototypes, coordinating shipments, and mentoring one another. The atmosphere was electric yet intimate, charged with the energy of shared ambition. Sophia walked among them, offering guidance, encouragement, and quiet reminders. Your talent matters. Your ideas matter. Never let anyone convince you otherwise. She had become more than a leader. She had become a beacon of possibility, a living example that perseverance, courage, and dedication could reshape a life. Evenings were often her favorite time. The city glowed beneath her office window as she reflected on how far she had come. She thought of the nights curled under subway overpasses, the library sessions that stretched until dawn, the park benches that had been her only refuge. Those memories, once painful, were now the foundation of her empathy, resilience, and vision. Sophia often whispered to herself in quiet moments, I survived. I endured. And now, I can create a path for others to follow. Her journey had transformed not just her circumstances, but her perspective on life. Success no longer meant simply financial wealth or recognition. It was the ability to inspire, to uplift, and to open doors for those who might otherwise remain unseen. Every new program, every mentoring session, every scholarship awarded was a testament to her growth, a symbol that hardship can breed profound empathy and leadership. The media had taken notice of her story. Articles highlighted her ascent from homelessness to corporate success. Interviews poured in from around the country. Yet Sophia always spoke with humility, emphasizing the importance of persistence, creativity, and community. I am not remarkable because of success alone, she told one interviewer, her eyes steady and filled with conviction. I am remarkable because I refused to give up when everything seemed impossible. That is the power each of us holds. Letters arrived from women across the nation, some struggling with poverty, others facing abuse, others simply unsure if their dreams were possible. Each letter was a reminder of why she worked tirelessly, why she continued to innovate, and why her company was more than a business. It was a platform for empowerment. Sophia read these letters late at night, letting their stories sink in, inspiring new programs, new ideas, and new initiatives. Sophia's leadership style reflected the lessons she had learned. From her own journey, she led with empathy, patience, and unwavering conviction. She celebrated small victories as fiercely as large ones, ensuring her team understood that each step forward, no matter how small, was a triumph. Her meetings often began with stories of resilience, hers, her team's, or of women she had met along the way. These stories were not just motivation, they were the heart of the company, the living thread that connected ambition to compassion. Despite her schedule, Sophia never stopped reflecting. Each decision, each new venture, each interaction was measured against the standard of integrity and impact. She asked herself constantly, will this help someone rise? Will this create opportunity? Will this ensure that no one else feels invisible like I once did? Her purpose remained clear: to turn her struggles into a force for good, to use every resource, every skill, and every connection to empower others. As the years progressed, Sophia's company expanded beyond Manhattan, reaching cities across the United States. Women from all walks of life joined her team, bringing talent, ambition, and unique perspectives. Sophia made a point of meeting each one personally, hearing their stories, understanding their challenges, and offering guidance. She believed that empathy was not just a trait, it was a responsibility, a way to ensure that her success created a ripple effect that extended far beyond her own achievements. Her office, once a simple rented space, had become a hub of innovation and empowerment. Walls were lined with sketches, prototypes, and awards, but the most cherished items were photographs of women who had overcome hardship and now thrived. Each picture told a story of resilience, courage, and triumph. Sophia often paused before them, letting their smiles remind her why every sleepless night and every hardship had been worth it. Even in quiet moments, Sophia continued to mentor. She scheduled late-night video calls with young women across the country, offering advice on everything from pitching to self-confidence. Her voice carried calm assurance, sometimes soft, sometimes firm, but always filled with conviction. You are capable. You are strong. You are worthy of your dreams. Do not let fear or circumstance define you. Her journey had come full circle. From the cold streets of New York to skyscrapers filled with ambition and energy, from despair to abundance, from invisibility to influence, Sophia embodied resilience. She had transformed every struggle into a lesson, every setback into a stepping stone, every hardship into a foundation for growth. No one believed she could make it, but Sophia did. And now she inspires countless others to believe in themselves, to persevere and to rise no matter how dark the night. Her legacy extended far beyond her company, her wealth, or her fame. It lived in the women she had mentored, in the communities she had uplifted, and in the countless lives touched by her determination. Each story, each life changed. Each opportunity created was a testament to the power of perseverance, hope, and courage. Sophia's life had become proof that even the most impossible circumstances can be overcome, that the human spirit can rise above any adversity, and that true success is measured not just by what you achieve, but by how many you lift along the way.